Got an article here from gamesindustry.biz. It's up on archive because this article's a load of shit. I'll link it in the description box if you can read it for yourself. But how men can help stamp out harassment of women in games. And they talked to three different chicks about this. Despite the many cases of harassment and abuse exposed in the game industry over the past few years, and subsequent calls to address these behaviors, fresh reports continue to emerge from each major event highlighting the systemic roots of the problems. Many of these roots were discussed earlier this year at a reboot Developer Blue session, fittingly titled WTF is 2023, Conversations We Still Need to Have About Being a Woman in the Game Industry. Blah, blah, blah. They talked to Chantel Ryan, founder and game director at We Have Always Lived in the Forest, and also an anthropologist, pointing out that a lot of the microaggressions are from people who don't realize they're being predatory. By way of example, she shares her experience the day before the con, which she attended an industry dinner during which a man spent most of the evening staring at her. Sharing a taxi back to the hotel with this man and a male peer. Why were you sharing a taxi with him? What the hell's going on? But whatever. The former interrupted her by saying, "Your voice is so sexy." Her peer said nothing, even when the comment was repeated after Ryan ignored it. The other passenger in the vehicle should have told the man to think about what he was saying or recognize that Ryan was not interested or pleased with the repeated, uninvited compliment. But his inaction suggests a deeper issue. The other man couldn't recognize the guy sexually harassing a woman right in front of him, or right next to him. I don't begrudge him that because I genuinely believe a lot of men don't know how to recognize a sign because they're not threatened by things in the same way we are because they don't have to deal with what that threat entails. Nowhere in here does it say that she told the guy to knock it off, that she told the guy she wasn't interested. Seriously. But you expect your male friend or your male peer to say something when you don't have the courage or whatever to say something. It's like, come on, what do you think the guy was going to do? Beat the hell out of you? And there's another one. She said, Anya Combs, a game consultant at Backer Kit, sees this from a different perspective. I think a lot of men just don't want to see it or acknowledge it. This industry is predominantly men, so you're surrounded by men. If I was a man, I would be like, that means statistically, someone I know, a close friend or acquaintance, could have hurt or harassed women. Blah, blah, blah. Here's another one from Ashley Blake, COO of Andromeda Entertainment, agrees some men don't know they're being predators, but some actually do, and some go to conferences specifically for those purposes. Predators are intentional. Molestation is very intentional. Oh, gee, you think? They go after very weak people, marginalized folk, queer folk, people of color. Those are the ones that are disproportionately affected. So all those are weak. People of color are weak. Queer people are weak. It's like, come on. Combination not wanting to see it and knowing how to hide it is very dangerous together, especially when it comes to the people who are outright attempting it, not just the people who don't know what they're doing and are a little bit socially awkward. Combs observed that men in particular need to, quote, do the work to learn what these behaviors look like. Then he goes on and says, if I were to say to Ashley, I love your shirt, it's so cute, there's a very different context than the dude you don't know going, hey, I like your shirt. She explains. If your antenna is good, it doesn't make you a bad person, but knowing the time and the place and understanding that compliments at a work function versus being at a bar and trying to pick a chick up, those are two very different contexts. There's some validity to that. I agree with what she's saying to a point, but it's also, it's basically seeming like she's wanting to push the responsibility off to male friends, male peers, etc., to say stuff to these guys. Say it to them yourself. Like in that one example, up above. That guy says, "Oh, your voice is so sexy." Okay, you ignore it, so he says it again. That's when you say, "Hey, I'm not interested. No, thank you." Boom. And then if the guy takes it from there, okay, that's wrong. And maybe it's kind of awkward and stupid for him to say your voice is so sexy and stuff, because it's like, are you trying to hit on her? Because I don't know if that was the appropriate situation. So again, in that aspect, I kind of get where she's coming from, but it's just more of this kind of stuff. I don't want to do the work. I want other people to do the work, and it continues on, and it goes on and on and on. And like I said, I'll link this in the description box so you can read it for yourself. But it's just on and on and on. And some of the stuff is okay. Like some of the stuff I kind of agree with, but again, it's just offloading the responsibility to men. And I'm not talking about the men who are doing this stuff to them, being the skeevers and the scumbags and stuff, because absolutely those guys need to be called out. They need to be, dealt with, essentially. They need to, be told to knock it off. But you can't expect just a random man or even a male peer in a vehicle with you to step up for you. Like, aren't we equals? Isn't that what unless you're saying we're not equals. And of course, hell, that one chick was sitting there saying that they prey on weak people, like people of color and queer people and stuff. Like, but anyway, because I'll link this in the description box. I've already gone 5 minutes for this stuff, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.